Paper, editor Charlie Deach returned from covering Pirates spring training in Bradenton, Florida. And our Pittsburgh Pirates preview issue hits City Paper boxes today. In it, you'll find scenarios for the upcoming season and talk about Andrew McCutchen moving up a batter's spot. Today on our panel, Charlie joins us, and we also have comedian, radio co-host, and City Paper sports columnist Mike Wysocki, and super Pirates fan Demetrius Thorne. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
How's it going, Alex?
Very good, very good. Charlie, welcome back, and also, among the things that you did while covering spring training was talk to Pirates infielder Jung Ho Gung. Let's take a listen to this before we dive in.
Talk a little bit about what your first season was like in Pittsburgh. Talk about getting used to playing, in the U.S. and what that first year experience was like for you.
재밌고 그다음에 피츠버그 팬들도 되게
All my
열정적이고
teammates and coaching staff, they made me comfortable here. Fantastic fans back in Pittsburgh, and I had a lot of fun last year.
Do you have any favorite spots in Pittsburgh? Places you'd like to go? Places you just for fun or to eat or things like that? Any?
뭐 먹을 때라든지 놀러 갈 만한데.
타코스, 스모크 타코스.
Smoke Lawrenceville.
Yeah.
Shout out to Smoke Lawrenceville, best tacos in town.
What are your expectations for the coming season? What's going to make a successful season for you?
뭐 어떤 성적을 거둘지는 모르겠지만 그리고 또 좋은 팀메이트들과 함께 또 같이
I
하니까
don't know how my numbers going to turn out, but my focus is to enjoy the ride and help the team win and help the teammates win.
All right, Charlie, so Gung is making a return after a pretty serious season-ending knee injury last year. How did he look?
He looked good. Actually, the day I was down there, the second day I was down there was the first day he took ground balls, and he looked good. He looked comfortable, as he said, out there at third base. He looks good. He looks ready to go, I think. I mean, I know he took he played 5 innings of a minor league game today, as we're speaking. I think he's coming along. I think he'll be back mid-April.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's coming up in this issue that's coming out today?
Yeah, we're going to have, this is kind of I feel anyway, it's a pivotal year for the Pirates. They've had 3 years of success after 20 years of shit. So I think that, they've had the wild card 3 years in a row. They went to they advanced 1 year. I think that this is the year that I think is going to be crucial for them to either take that next step, or I do have a fear that that they might fall off again because they didn't do a lot in the offseason, and so that's a question. So we have that story, and then we also talked to Pirates pitcher Jeff Locke. We talked to Andrew McCutchen and Clint Hurdle about how you make decisions based on data versus kind of gut feelings. And then Mike wrote a piece for us, the 15th anniversary PNC Park team, which we can talk about, and Demetrius, who is known by some as fake Pedro Alvarez, he wrote sort of a farewell letter to Pedro, which I thought turned out fantastically. So that's what we have, and some extra stuff online, so it should be good.
Very cool. All right, Mike, you want to tell us a little bit about your piece and what prompted you to write it?
Just being the 15th year, I was just thinking about who the best players are at each position. A couple were obvious, like center field. You know who that is without any question. The toughest part, I think, was the starting pitching. Basically, the 3 starting pitchers we had last year are the best of the last 15 years. Cole, Liriano, and Burnett. And then after that, a significant drop-off.
You could say that.
I didn't know where to go. I had to go basically by numbers and give Paul Mulholland number 4. I think he was maybe 20 games under 500 here, something like that. But he pitched okay, good enough to make the list. And then kind of Chris Benson by default. I mean, I'm John Van Benscoten. I don't know who else you could possibly have put in there. Zach Duke, Oliver Perez, each had like a good year and a half to a year and 3/4, but that was it. But, I mean, the rest of the team's not bad. If you had them in your prime with an outfield of like Bay and, McCutchen, and that would be a pretty good team. It's just they didn't have them all at the right time. Jack Wilson, I wish we had him now. And it would be he's a solid defensive. He hits about 270, 280. That's exactly what they need. Mercer's okay, but I'd like this maybe, I don't know, get somebody else in there.
Yeah, Jack Wilson, I think, is the Pirate that most deserved, of the last 20 years, I think that most deserved to have a good team playing around him because he was such a great guy. He was a good teammate. I think he deserved to be on a winner, but didn't happen here or in Seattle, right? He went to Seattle after here.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
That was it. I think he played with the Braves briefly for
10
a little
minutes,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, that was it. And then the closer is easy too, because Melanson's
Yeah.
the best they've had maybe ever.
Yeah, even that, I mean, when it looked like guys like Hanrahan or Grilly might be the guy of the future, I mean, when Hanrahan was traded, Grilly sort of imploded, right?
Yeah,
That's
he
the word I'm
did.
looking for, yeah. So, and Melanson kind of came, he's been sharp. He looks good, too. He looks solid, too, in spring training. He looks like built. Like, you look at him, he just looks kind of like an average-sized guy. The guy he's built pretty solid. I think he's going to have a great year, actually.
All right, moving on. Demetrius, you want to tell us a little bit about this farewell thank you letter that you wrote to Pedro?
Well, I was asked to write it. I figured, hey, why not? It just kind of makes sense. He wrote a goodbye to all of us, so why not write some heartfelt little from my heart type of thing to him. I don't know, I was just thanking him for not thinking I was absolutely nuts. And thanking his wife for, thinking I wasn't absolutely nuts.
There's a theme here.
Yeah. I just didn't want people thinking I was nuts. But yeah, it was mostly just that, just trying to, say thanks for all the, because I mean, we got to do a lot of cool stuff. It was a little bit of fame, I guess you could say it was, for about 3.5 years. I got to do some pretty nice stuff with my mom, and that's what really prompted the two. When Charlie asked, it was like, yeah, my mom would have liked that.
I think also, didn't in 2009, didn't you play 2 innings of third base against the Braves?
When they released Alvarez, I felt bad for Demetrius right away. Like, oh, man.
Everybody was like, oh, what are you going to do? It's
Yeah.
like, just be myself, I guess. I don't know. Get back to just sitting there. I mean, seriously,
Just sitting there.
30 minutes later, Stocky called me. Andrew Stocky from WTA. He's like, hey, we're going to come interview. I was like, why? But it made sense. It did. But it's just funny. That's all I've gotten. Are you going to move? Like, what? To Baltimore? What the
Of all places.
Last season, the second or third game, we were at the same game, and I was sitting behind him, and I texted him and said, I thought you would have moved to first base. And he said, why would I do that? My seats are too good to play. Yeah, he had great seats. So. But that's the natural thought. It's like, oh my God, Pedro has to go to first
Right,
base.
yeah. Let's try to do everything I possibly can to make it even harder for me to sit there.
That would have been great if Clint Hurdle would have called you in the office and said, Demetrius, it's hard to, but we need you to move to occupy first base.
I know. I guess that's what I have to do for the team.
That's what it's all about, man.
All right, so with opening day less than a week away, let's get some predictions. Charlie, you want to lead off?
Well, I actually did some bold predictions upstairs, and I actually am predicting a first-place Pirates finish, and I can talk about that a little bit. But 97 wins, I think. I think that they're gonna be solidly in first. So here's how I look at it. I look at it like the Cardinals are aging. The Cardinals are really aging, in my opinion. I think this is finally. I thought this last year too, but I think this is finally going to be the year that the Cardinals decline. I think the Cubs had a great season last year, reminiscent of the one the Pirates had in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
While the Pirates did well the following year, there seemed to be a little bit of a growing pain sort of thing. And I think the Cubs, especially the Cubs, I think are gonna deal with that. And the Pirates have this great mix of their veterans aren't too old, their young guys aren't too young. I think they're right in the sweet spot. I think they could easily win this division. I think a lot of people have already written them off for that.
Demetrius, 97 wins.
I would love 97 wins. I'm not going super low. 90 to 91 would seem, feasible. It's the starting pitching that seems to be an issue. I don't think it's going to be a big issue. I just think that with the pitching that you're going to have out there, you'd probably want some more offense. And I don't know if we have that yet, especially with Gung starting not on a field. You have Freeze taking over, and Freeze wasn't exactly setting the world on fire last year.
Right.
That said, they still can win the division. I do think the Cubs will be really good there, but I think there's going to be a point where everybody has their breaking point. Bryant and Rizzo is going to be solid as usual, but there's going to be times where they all just kind of lapse.
Yeah.
And their pitching won't be great either. But and the Cardinals I've written them off for 3 years. So
It's got to happen.
Great, they just bring up people and they're like, "Hey, you want to play first? Who are you?" It doesn't matter. Go hit 340, folks.
Yeah.
But I think that regardless, I think it's a playoff team, contending for the division all the way down to the end.
Cool. All right, Mike, so their two answers were both partially about the weakness of the division rather than the strength of the team. What do you think about that? You agree?
I do. I honestly think that they're going to win because they have to this year. It's so crazy that 20 years, they changed the wild card rules before the 2013 season. If the old rules had applied, the Pirates would just be in the playoffs the last 3 years, playing 5-game series with a shot. But who would have thought that it would screw the Pirates in the playoffs, and then 2 out of 3 times they lose 1 game and they're done. So I think that urgency I think everyone knows you can't come in second. You can't take a chance and face a Bumgarner or someone like that, or Arrieta last year. The Cubs look incredible on paper if you look at them 1 through 9, but they're still the Cubs. They're the biggest losers of all time. They haven't been to a World Series since 1945, and that's when they had like one-arm guys playing. Everyone was out to war. And they haven't got to the World Series since then. They haven't won since 1908 when Teddy Roosevelt was president. So that's in their head. I think they're just losers. They're going to keep losing. They're going to have a good year, though. I think they'll come in second, and I'd love to see the Cardinals fade. I think what Charlie said is right. They're getting old at the same time, but they're so frustrating. I think every year, they're done this year, but they never are. When they lose a pitcher, they'll get a guy from AAA that's just as good or not better to replace him. And then the Pirates this year, they're starting to stock up at AAA. I like the way Tyler Glasnow is. Tyone's a little bit away, but they've got some good arms in the bullpen and in the starting rotation down in Indy, and they're starting to kind of look like the Cardinals, where if someone goes down, they can replace them. And I think just the urgency, I think they're going to win. I really think they're going to win the division this year just because they have to. They don't want to face another 1-game series against, just an all-star pitcher.
You mentioned I don't know what you mentioned. You mentioned the strength of the team, and I think that's something. That's where I think we're all sitting here thinking we're going to win the division, but I think the one thing that keeps me is from really jumping. Say this looks like a great team. I think this looks potentially like a great team, but they didn't really do enough in the offseason, in my opinion, to make me feel like, oh, okay, that's gonna make up for the loss of power between Alvarez and then the last few seasons Walker's brought quite a bit of power too. So. If Josh Harrison returns to his form from 2014, I think there's a chance, but I don't know. They didn't do anything that really impressed me to think, we're finally making that next step. But what the hell do I know? Those guys are winning ball games. So.
Nobody would have taken an actual chance on Josh Harrison being that good in 2014. It was like, just keep sending him up and down like they did in 13.
Yeah.
But they're smarter than us. That's why they're making lots of money doing that.
And defense, too. I didn't realize, just because you love him because he was from here and played here, but looking at defensive stats of Neil Walker, he's not a very good defensive second baseman at all. And Walker's actually an upgrade. But it's one of those things that you just kind of can't say because he's from Pittsburgh, he's a Pirate, and you don't say anything bad about him. And he was a solid hitter, but looking defensively, he was definitely below average. And Harrison... little things like that and can save a running game or so. He didn't have much range or anything. So defensively, and Gunn looks solid defensively too. So I don't know. And Jaso at first base. Maybe.
Jaso looked pretty good. He's pretty confident. I think he needs a haircut, but it's kind of strange. It's kind of strange. It's a little weird.
White guys with dreads are different.
I'm going to be fake Jaso.
That would be great. No, I think he could be solid. And I think, when I was down there for spring training, it's when they started doing these lineup manipulations, having McCutchen hitting second, Jaso hit first, and he's a guy. He doesn't have a ton of speed, but I think he's a guy who gets on base, and I think you're going to see a lot of guys with higher on base percentages, like McCutchen and Cervelli and Jaso. These guys are going to be batting up to the top, and it's going to look strange for a while because, and that's one of the stories we have, which is Clint Hurdle said. For 47 years, the baddest guy in the game always hit third. He said it's hard for him to make that change, but there's something in the numbers that he sees. So it'll be interesting to see how that change works. And also, it will be interesting to see if Marte hitting third or fourth is going to be able to, supply that role to get guys who get on base to get them around. So I don't know. This is a big season for Marte too. I think this is his
breakout year.
Yeah.
This is where he gets his contract. He actually gets the bigger contract next.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me, Charlie Deach, Demetrius Thorne, and Mike Wysocki. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.